Good morning, my fellow travelers on Spaceship Earth. It is I, and I am Guy. I'm coming to you live from Applewood Station, where my cat is eating a box. And I mean, like, really working on this one. That's right, we're getting storms in our area too. Windstorms, as you can somewhat see out our window. And of course, there's no requirement that you be here. I mean, I'm glad you are here, but you need not apologize. It's all right. It's always okay. What are you doing? You can't eat that. Is this I won't let you eat the plastic, so you've got to eat the cardboard? I don't know. I'm going to have to throw that whole box away before George tries to consume it. Such a weird animal. All right. I appreciate that. I always appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Not sure what I was thinking. Oh, I know what I was thinking. All right. Yeah, I know, right? Why are you finding the box so entertainingly yummy? It's the box that my throttle quad and yoke came in. And the way I typically do things is I keep the box around for a week or two just to make sure that everything runs correctly. That way I know I can put everything back and send it back if it's broken. So I'm keeping the box over here. But Mr. I want the plastic out of the box just doesn't seem to want to leave it alone. He's been trying to chew on it for quite a while now, frustratingly. And it's remarkably irritating. I think this is going the wrong direction. It is going the wrong direction, which explains one of the things that I'm having a problem with. This is the weird shape that was going on underneath here. Very strange shape. All right. These three. We'll go outside and put that face in. There we go. A much better object to deal with now. Is open though. Well, maybe not open. But I can push it outside like this. If you keep this up, dude, I am totally going to put that box away. You're driving me crazy. If you don't stop, I'm going to turn this box around. You should have thought of that before we left. Just saying. I did that the other day with the kids in the class. They told a joke. I can't remember what it was, but it was a totally appropriate, but one of those you have to pretend it's not appropriate jokes. So I said, "Don't make me turn this class around." I got a laugh. There we go. I think I fixed that weird undercarriage problem. Box takes good. I know, right? Weird. You're a weird animal. You know that? Weird. I mean, it doesn't change anything. Still a member of this family, and I might add, you're not the weirdest of the family members, so there's that. All right, bring that out, maybe out. And this needs to come down, because this will be that undercarriage piece. This one needs to go out more. All right, there we go. And this kind of needs to go back. Make sure we don't cross this line, though. Right there. And this needs to now come out. There we go. Much better. And this can go back now. And that should make this into a nice area that fits really well. Like here. I don't like it whenever polygons don't quite fit. And these polygons don't quite fit. And I feel like they need to go double, or need to go a different direction. So we'll take the face and take this one and just delete its face. And take this one and delete its face. And then go the other direction. So instead of going, we'll go this way. Like that. And that will allow me to be able to bring this down and align it better. The wing is still weird, but we can come back and fix that. In fact, we'll go this way with the wing. And that still puts it in alignment with the leg there. So that the leg it folds still up nicely up against the leg, but doesn't need to pull this down just a little bit more like a curtain in there. Coming down on the side just a bit. And that should allow that to be a lot more focused around that section there. A little bit better. Bring this out more like that. There we go. Getting better. This becomes a stripe along the bottom of the vehicle, which it should be. I did the same thing to myself here with these two. Let's go back to face, this, delete, faces, this, delete, faces, and this edge. Ooh, another edge. When you have more than one edge, I think most of this is going to have to go away. Because I don't think any of that's necessary now anymore. Not for this specific spacecraft. There we go. Now we can just patch this back through. Kind of wondering if maybe what I should do is just take this entire nose piece and just remove it. And then come back through with an extrude, because that'll align it up better. Right? And it tore a lot of the vessel out, but on the same token, none of these were aligned properly, which now that I look at it, I'm like, well, that would be better. And like this is a better concept for a face right through here anyway. Yeah, and in fact, what we probably ought to do is go through here and line this up. So all of these are effectively lined up on this whole piece so that we can just extrude it, which would make a lot more sense. We don't have music, says me, realizing we don't, have music. Music. There we go. This also got like weird shapes that probably shouldn't be part of this hull. This is a weird shape. Like, it's a pretty straightforward design and shouldn't be that strange. There we go. Drop that just a little bit. Give it just a little bit of a rounded hull effect. Bring that up there. All right, let's get this all straightened out. I'll bring it all the way back to here. It's the closest point where everything is relatively the same. I can always pull it back out if we need to. Here we go. There. Now, we should have pretty straightforward hull piece. Yep, looks like that's just fine. None of them are weird. Well, maybe they are weird. None of them are weird. What I can do now is extrude. Right? And that makes the hull uniform all the way forward, which is really what we're kind of looking for here. Something not quite as beat up as that back end there, which is pretty solidly beat up. But we look back at our version here, and the engine pods are going to come all the way forward to about where the wings joist in, with an after section here like this that comes forward. So this is that section we just extruded just now, this little after section right here. And now we can extrude forward to the forward part of the nose. Best part about this is we can take that, and using just this guy, we can bring this all down uniformly like so, which makes that markedly easier to deal with. Hey, Ray. Glad Brent's paying attention. I wasn't paying attention. Sorry about that. How are things? Heard anything else from the board? This is an important thing. Preoccupying my world a little bit here. Not to pry or anything. We're just, interested in your world, making sure you're interested in your well-being, I guess, is really probably more accurate. Oh, good. That's good. That's what I was worried about. Like I said, not trying to pry here, but we have a vested interest. You're our buddy now. So, and this is not to say that the military is bad for Brent's benefit. Just some of us aren't suited to be military. That's just the way it goes. They don't do well. I always joke that I'd change the orbit of the planet for all the push-ups I'd have to do if I were ever in the military. But then as time got older, or as I grew older, I started to regret that decision. I think it would have been good for me. Okay, I think this is tilted down. What did we do here? How do we do this? straight along the bottom, kind of cups up at the top, or the looks like it's coming up from there. So I think probably what I want to do, make sure I grab all of these guys, and then kind of do more like this. And push this back just a smidge. And maybe that is just a little too narrow. Bring it up a little more like so. Let's drew it out a little bit more here. Trying to kind of get that curvature to the front of the nose that we've got going on the drawing. Kind of going through here. So this is kind of where we are at this point. That looks a lot closer to the vehicle we're dealing with. We can bring more uniformly down like so. We also have to watch out for sections of the ship which have just moved, like that section right there. You increase the size of it, and this section gets weird. So there's a frame that we've got to fix. And this frame. There we go. And that probably should be more accurate. We'll have to pull this down a little bit more, obviously, but at least for the here and now, that looks like that's pretty okay. Hot day, huh? Well, apparently we have a freeze watch that's being issued, which that's weird. When I can't get a solid it's 11 degrees. I have no idea why we're getting a freeze watch at 11 degrees, but we're apparently getting a freeze watch at 11 degrees. It's almost passed out of 78 degrees. I'm just gonna say that shows a lot of where you live right there. You're like, why is it like this? What's wrong with the world? Yeah, I know, right? Sadly, I don't think that's gonna be something we're going to have experience with as time goes on. It's just gonna keep getting warmer. No, I mean, it's hot. And I don't like it, but I have always been one of those people that likes the cold far better than the hot. So, my biggest problem is that I don't know whether I'm complaining about stuff or not. You know what I mean? Like, I have no earthly idea. I think we could take this and just extrude it this way. I've learned my little tricks here. That is, I can take this, and not that, and this, and make a face here. Right? You're not the only person. But I mean, you are in the right part of the world, though. I mean, on a step, this should be a different thing. I shouldn't do this. I should do this. And do the triangle this way. There. There. Hey, some user. Good to see you, some user. Oh, hey, some user. I totally used AI music for my final for biology. It was very funny. There's a there's a rule against AI in school. So I made a song and then read it as a dramatic reading as my part, and then put the song together and indicated that it was specifically made by AI. But I think that was particularly funny. And frankly, kind of terrifying. I'm just going to say the AI section of these things is getting kind of scary. Okay, I'm going to pull some of this stuff back. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But for funny stuff and stuff that has that's not critical, I think it's actually rather hysterical. Like I'm composing all the songs that my bard sings in our D&D game. All that's doing is just being funny. I'm not threatening anybody's art with it. I don't know if I'd be comfortable if I was trying to replace a musician with it. You know what I mean? Like a legit musician. I think that'd be unpleasant. I wouldn't say, well, we need music for this piece of, this piece of art or whatever. It's art installation. So we'll just use AI instead. Yeah. I feel like that'd be not the appropriate response. Yeah, no. But for what my bard is singing in the D&D game, very appropriate, especially since my bard is very similar to Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy as far as a character is concerned. And so it's particularly funny. She sings songs that are particularly stupid. So why did this do that? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Weirdo. All right, here we go. Yeah, you don't want to take anybody's real job from it. And I would never I wouldn't have the money to ever afford to actually get a real bard to sing stuff for my bard. So I'm not taking any money away. Mostly because it's a D&D game. If I had to make a jingle for, like, school or something, I'd probably reconsider that. And get some of the kids at school to do it or something. Where it's in-house usage of resources. I mean, even thinking about it, like, I don't think I would use it to make songs for class because that's a professional use. You know what I mean? Like, and let's say I wanted to use it for classroom or something. I still think I wouldn't do that. All right. How does this look? gonna be hard to tell whether this is exactly what we're looking for or not. That really looks very wide. I know, right? What a peasant I am. Can't afford a real bard. Okay, I think I feel like this shell is unique and interesting enough that it's probably fine. Like I said, I feel like it's probably more duck shaped. You know, like less on the top there. Bring this guy down more like so. Right? Okay. But like the funny part about this whole thing is to me 2012 feels like yesterday. Had that problem all the time. I'm teaching kids that, I mean, when they were born, that just seems like it was just a couple of days ago. Bring this backbone down just a little bit more. It's feeling a little too high. There we go. Kind of bring it in like that. There we go. Just kind of bring that shape around, kind of straightening it up a little bit along this forward hull. Hey, elastic. This would be, I think it's a, well, the type of spacecraft is the Mustang. In my comic, I've drawn it like this. I had another version of this guy, and I really liked, well, somebody doesn't have their glasses on, so you're elastic. No, I can do Elsa. I could do. Usually I try to keep it to 2 syllables. So if you've got a better nickname, I'll call you that. So tell me what nickname you want to be called, and I'm okay with it. But yeah, this is the ship that's being called for in my comic. And I made a all right. I made this sketch, and it was supposed to be of the Saber fighter, which I have. But then I drew this one and I was like, well, I don't know, I kind of like that design better. So I went back into the model of my Saber, and I'm now taking that front end and changing it, and changing and putting the winglets on because I like the winglets. And so that's kind of what we're doing here. But then I was like, well, you know, how does this guy work? I think what he's got is he'll have 2 cockpits. Probably one that comes forward like this, and another one pops up and slides back, opening up because it's a double seater. I think there's a Rio in the back. So that could be interesting. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. Kind of pushing and pulling pieces of the hull around, though. And that's what we're doing here. Push up and over. Now, I feel like this probably needs to be, pushed out just a little bit more, especially right up here. It's flat and wide. Right? Right? Just saying. Kicking butt at my school. Don't think I'm not. I am curious though. Oh, this is a double. Eeks. Yeah, we should probably pull this guy back out. Give him just a little bit more room here. Yikes. Looks like I borked the mesh. It's like Gilgamesh, except with borking. Nothing worse than you Gilgameshing the thing. Dang it. Why'd I Gilgamesh it? I'm just going to say, this sounds like a cool swear word. You've Gilgameshed everything. I have invented a new swear word. You guys are welcome. Okay, how many people are here? Just one. Okay, good. All right. Alrighty. And like I said, I feel like the bottom of the hull probably is rounder. Ugh, that became ugly. Like, I feel like more like this. And pull back around sort of like that. Maybe watch my profanity. This is a daytime show. Going around saying Gilgamesh all over the place. Jeez. Children will pick those up. And you have children saying it all over the place. We have to file a complaint against Guy because he was teaching kids to say Gilgamesh. And that was why we pulled his show. All right. So we still have this open bay under here where I feel like that's not going where it's supposed to go. Like it's too far forward. I have it aligned with the leg, but I don't think it needs to be aligned with that leg. I think it needs to be pulled through like this and then just put like this. And we'll see whether that made it so the parts of the leg coming through. So probably out like so is still fine. That's strike 2. This is not the After Dark show. Watch out. Things are going to go bad soon. Don't you understand? Think of the children. All right, everything should be aligned to that blue line. In theory. Okay, yeah, it looks like everything's doing fine. All right. Now, when I do the mirror command, I can mirror with some fudge room. It asks me what the fudge room is, but let's take a look at it real quick and just put that mirror on here. Kind of get an idea of what it looks like. Because this will help us see where we are on this. And that's not bad. I don't think that's... I think the front was a little bit more nubby. I feel like the front's just a smidge more nubby. Let's take a look. Yeah, a little bit more nubby and a little wider. But not bad. I mean, like, this is pretty close to what we're looking for. So, that means I want to go here. We're just going to bring this entire front section back. I think it's interesting how pervasive American culture is that some user actually knows that it's the FCC. I'm just saying, it's a sign of how pervasive our culture is. Because I cannot tell you off the top of my head what the Swedish communication regulatory system is. Yeah, no. I'm just saying, I can't think of it off the top of my head. Kind of scary in its own way. All right. I'm looking at this and thinking that these 3 right here probably should be a stripe. Right? Exactly. Thanks to the American media. But I don't think redoing these triangles in any way is going to help us, because we actually kind of need another sort of, like we need another sort of spot here for this. So what I think I'll do is just call that where the wing comes out. Right? The sweet. We're just making stuff up now. Ooh, boy. Man, that's making stuff up. Yeah, and of course, as you probably know, it's not a knock against you there at all, of course. It's just me observing how pervasive our society is. No, I don't think it's the BRB, Brent. I'm so easily entertained. Oh, yeah. Well, that probably there's a division out there whose job it is to be the government to approve. You know what I mean? Like, I'll bet you'd find that there is an agency of some sort whose job it is to approve it by the government. If it says approved by the government, that means there's a government agency that approves. So, and it's there somewhere. Which I actually, now, especially now that I have done my okay, George has gone insane. It's time for the midnight crazies. Yeah, now you see, now you're just over there caterwauling. That's just weird. Makes it sound like you're sick. George is over there because he does that. He thinks he's cute, I think. But yeah, I think got that kind of going up into the hall. I wonder if it needs to be up into the hall. Probably doesn't need to be up in the hall, does it? Because it goes upward, but it could come down. There's no reason to make an airflow piece that goes through here. Like, airflow up into this section up here is not going to help any or hurt any in any way. I am modeling a spaceship. I had drawn these guys as a sketch in my comic, and I liked the look of them. I thought they were pretty cool, and I had already built a fighter And originally the fighter was going to be the ones used here, but that back that back ship in the back there has a like an AWACS radome on top of it. And I was like, well, it's not really something a fighter carries. There'd be sort of a middle class ship, like an interceptor or like the E3, the U.S. Navy's E3. So kind of thought that it'd be kind of useful to have sort of that E3 version. I like the winglets too. So I'm making this guy with winglets now. He still has the hard points from the old fighter. Um, the comic that I'm, oh yeah, it is difficult. The comic that I'm writing is sort of a dream comic of mine, so they're all transformable because I like Transformers. And really, honestly, for a long time, I worked really hard to be like realistic. And then I realized you don't need to be realistic. You just need to be true to yourself. So if your story has mecha, then you have to have mecha and everybody's okay with it and nobody notices that it's weird. If you do that, it runs just fine. Nobody cares. So my comic is part and part. So let me show you real quick. It already has one mecha that we've established in our earlier story. And that's over here. I've got to rechange. I've got to change this entire thing out. But yeah, I mean, it's I make my life so difficult sometimes, I swear. There we go. This is the first mecha that I've seen a game called Star Citizen, yes. But this is the first mecha that I made. This is the MPV. It has legs, so it can walk. Or it drives around on wheels. I think the MPVs now have larger wheels. But for the most part, they've got 3 modes. They've got their walker mode, their flight mode, and their roll mode, or driving mode. Yeah, can't understand those English words. All of you young whippersnappers. Whippersnappers being a term used by older people. I've got some pointers for you, Fox, if you know. In Star Citizen? That's cool. You're tempting me with Star Citizen. Them having transformable ships is actually sounds kind of intriguing. Pull that back a little bit more without getting into that leg. So we're building the inner hull. I mean, one of the things I would do is if you've ever, do you sketch them first? Like, this is based off of this sketch, and this is only one sketch. I don't think I ever I mean, like, this sketch is ridiculously impossible to understand, so I don't even understand that one. I do notice, though, that when peeling off to the right, I don't have the arched forward wings, so I may have to fix that. But yeah, if you sketch it, for some reason in my brain, these guys are much different. Then you can bring them in here. Oh, okay. You can use Minecraft for it. That works. My kid uses Minecraft for everything. Everything. Like, she's into everything that's Minecraft, so it works. It works. Nothing wrong with that at all. Okay, so unlike the Saber, which had a wing that was much closer to the shape of um, the kittiwake, looks like these guys, their wings are further back in shape. Like so saith my sketch. Yep. Wait. We have a Discord channel. You have to forgive me. I'm an older person, so sometimes I'm like, all of this weird technology, I don't understand any of it. What's that wing look like? Oh, it's just shaped like that. Bringing up Discord. You can join the Discord channel. Halfway point. Bring you into the duck pond. Create invite. Copy. To chat. It's coming into the chat now. There we go. That's the Discord, which we use for posting pictures of things. All right. One of the things I was noticing was there's no... I'm going to hate that. I mean, I noticed that the shape of the wing is straightened on that forward piece, but I don't know if I want to even mess with that. Right? Because now I'm kind of... This back piece, if I do the back piece like that, I'm going to... my kid does not draw. As is typical with families, my father was not an artist. I ended up being an artist, and my kid is not really an artist. My kid is a musician. But she's very into Minecraft and building and constructing things in Minecraft. If you join that, you can post your pictures there. You can't post the pictures on here, right? It doesn't show up. And so that's why I say go to the Discord server. Because you're coming in via Twitch, where some users coming in via YouTube, and Brent is coming in via Facebook, and Ray is also coming in via YouTube, I think. Where's Ray coming in from? I don't remember. I haven't seen Ray in a while, though. Hope Ray's okay. And Elastic is coming in from Twitch. Yeah, Ray's coming in from YouTube. Because I multicast. So this is going out on all of my social media, including Facebook and YouTube. So some of the people who are watching this stream are coming in from different locations. And you guys are all coming in on Twitch. So if you don't post it to the Discord server, it won't show up to anybody because some of these people are not on the same channel. And sometimes I feel like I need to tell people, just get off my lawn. Okay, so now we're at a crisis point, guys. And the crisis point is, I already have these flaps designed and built. And they already work. And they already do what they're supposed to do. Right? So the question really is, do I really, because I mean, like, this was kind of a pain to get these flaps at the right angle, so that the elevators and the flaps operate correctly. But the picture depicts these flaps in a different comic. Where the heck is the comic? Shows these wings in sort of a diamond formation with a point, which is great. Except that I don't see that diamond formation here with the winglets, and I don't see the winglets out on that side. Well, now, wait a minute. If I were to think that that triangle there is a winglet, then it is still kind of the shape the same. These are just bigger versions of it. But they still are fine, I think. Should be okay. Yeah, let's go back to the top and go back on this guy. Let's put this guy back down. Yeah, that puts it at a diamond-shaped sign, diamond-shaped wing. I'll just pull that forward more. Edit mode, go to naked. This never works if you do this in non-naked mode. All right, so if I pull this forward more like that, that gives it that diamond shape that looks like it is in there. All right, there we go. And the winglets are good because they fit. And they're 90 degrees to the wing, not 90 degrees to the spacecraft, which makes sense because the airflow is going to come up and over this winglet. All right, I'm going to push that back. I mean, legitimately, you can get killed by this winglet now. But, and I like the fact the winglet has a little bit of a rake that comes in front of it now. So it's a little rakey forward, kind of going forward like that. Gives it just a little bit of an aggression. And it's just a little going forward into the attack stream of the air. And this still gives me a little bit of a bow here. I don't know, maybe I should go and see what we could do on the top here. I don't feel like that was that bowed in the picture. I think part of it might be. I have to be careful because there's things underneath here that I don't want to mess with. Like those hard points. I don't want to have to redo those hard points. And I'm already getting cross lines. Maybe not. There we go. Waving. I apparently am putting out a mouse. Not sure what that is, but okay. You can post here in the duck pond. I think you can post here in the duck pond. All right. Yeah. You see how much of this here has to come to this hard point? I've got these hard points underneath here. I don't know if I want to adjust the placement of the hard points. Although I guess I could put them more in alignment with the structure underneath there. Because like the hard point probably should actually, now that I look at it, be aligned with this middle spar. Make sure we didn't grab anything behind that hard point. And make sure we grab the hard point. I mean, because I don't think it'll hurt it to move forward. Like so. Put it under the spar. That should align better with that. Put it right under the spar here. And off the cat goes. George has gone insane. Okay, making sure that line is fine. There. Oof. Okay, so it doesn't like it. You can see what's going on here. We got this point, which is fine. I think really all I need to do is just grab this guy and move him forward like so. We should be okay. Pull that back and out. Get the tension off of that mesh. We don't want any Gilgamesh. Oh no, that's my third strike. All right. I'm just going to move this. So what I'm trying to do is loosen up the tension in this mesh, right? There you go. Oh, right, like as it's supposed to be, like the real word winglet. I think it's funny that he called himself Winglet and then didn't know that that was what that was called. 777s, Boeing 777s, the winglets fold, which is so cool. So they're up like this during takeoff and landing, and then they fold outward, or they sit outward when they're. Oh, that's it. They sit outward when they're landing, so that it gives extra wing space, so you've got more lift. And then once they're up in the air, they go upward. The winglets come up, and when the winglets come up, that gives more stability to the aircraft. That's what winglets are for. So their entire point is to keep a vertical stabilized. The vertical operation of the aircraft is supposed to be stabilized by winglets. So I'm gonna just take the stress off this model a little bit here. Bring this down more. So these aircraft have multi-use flaps. The flaps are elevators, flaps, and air brakes. Mostly because they've got big engines. And so really, honestly, it doesn't care. I mean, or aircraft with large engines really don't need as much lifting surface control. We're only really putting lifting surface control in just to take some of the stress off of the engines, but it doesn't need it. It's back to the put a big enough engine on a rock, and a rock can fly. I mean, rockets don't have engines, or don't have wings. I mean, they don't have wings. Rockets don't have wings for a reason. They don't need them. We just put big engines on them. That's the point. And now I can pull. Now I can mess this up quite a bit. Actually, no, wait. That wasn't bad. Do that. Because this is going to be more like this. And then I can push it this way. More. Well, I am glad, by the way, that I was able to increase your knowledge, and you get to see a winglet as it really is, what a winglet really does. And you can say it's because you follow an artist that's a complete and total machine geek and loves machines, all machines, any machine. And his mecha have to have winglets because he likes winglets. Like, I don't really have any other reason. They don't need the extra stability. This guy's got big, huge engines. He really doesn't need the extra stability of a winglet. The winglets just look cool. So, just saying. I don't have an excuse for it. I just think winglets look neat. So, there we go. And that's why. And the truth of the matter is, it's my comic book. I can draw it any way I want. It's my comic, and I'll draw it if I want to. If I want winglets, I'll put winglets on these things. These guys have legs, after all. I don't really need legs, but they've got legs. Okay, feeling like that after section needs to be lined up again, because I've now been pushing and pulling and pushing and pulling on it, and I think it's gotten way out of alignment now. So let's get it back into alignment. I don't know what alignment it is, but let's start on the wing, because that wing spar, this is the wing spar where it's actually connecting to the hull of the spacecraft. So we're going to pull back from that spar and go straight up, unless it needs to, for some reason, go not straight up. We're going to go straight up. But I can already kind of see, see now we're off the line. I can already see that this right here is the final point of this spar. So I was sitting there thinking it was leaning forward because of that, but it really isn't. It's just kind of being, I don't know. But now we look at it and I think, yeah, it's now got kind of a peak coming to either side, which I don't know if I necessarily need that. So let's discuss this. Should it be peaked here like this, or should it make a double peak? We are back here in the engine pod, and the engine pods are going to go to either side. So it would make sense that there'd be sort of an indention in the middle. When we look at the other Mustang, the back Mustang with that AWACS pod, the AWACS pod's mounted somewhere between these two engines. So that would make sense that maybe there's a small indention in here for the mount for that AWACS pod to sit in that center piece. Which is funny because it's not an AWACS. I mean, I'm just calling it an AWACS pod, but it's really not an AWACS, so I don't know why. I don't know. It's a thing. I mean, I guess it could be technically, but it should be SWACS. Right? Because AWACS is Airborne Warning Control System. And it's not airborne, so it'd have to be Spaceborne Warning and Control System, which would be SWACS. SWACS. There we go. We're having fun with SWACS. So I think I actually am going to keep the Widow's Peak sort of effect back here. And we'll keep that kind of going because right now this dips down in the hull and it's going to lead upward on the side. Earwax. We'll call it the earwax. It's the earwax. Oh. That's what we need. Because if we can be 14, we will. Let's put that mirror in and take a look at it real quick. Right? That's not bad. Still feel like maybe it needs to be a little wider, but it's got enough wing now. It feels like it has the right shapes of wing. So, yeah, I think we're at the right shape of wing. I think the only thing I don't want, I feel like it needs to still be wider. Just a little bit wider, but it does need to be somewhat wider. So we're going to just go ahead and take the whole side of the spacecraft all the way to here and just push it out. This is actually good because it doesn't look like we've got a lot of room in here for the legs to fold up underneath it. In this instance, it won't matter because we really kind of need these legs to be bigger anyway to hold and support the spacecraft. So probably going to end up scaling those anyway. Or scaling down the hull, which is actually what needs to happen. Nope, 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 nope. That's a rotate. That was a bad idea. Let's do it with the whole thing selected. Weird. Gotta be careful because we don't want to scale down too much. But this is a better, I think, alignment. And I'll leave those the flaps and the control surfaces, we'll leave them at the same size. Now let's go on ahead and do the modifier and take a look at it in the mirror. Because see, that looks more like it. If you look at that and then look at this, see how it's much flatter and wider across that front nose, right across this nose piece here. It's very flat and wide. I think what I'm going to do is going to have, like I was saying before, I think I'm going to have two cockpits. So this one will pitch forward, and then there'll be a Rio in the back, and that'll just pop up and slide back. So the cockpit will like split through here, and then this part will pop up and slide back. It can't go too far back, otherwise it'll be in the engine pods. So we have to watch out for its design, but for the most part, that looks pretty close to what we were looking at there. I like that a whole lot better. And that peak back here fits nicely for those large engines, those space engines. It's going to have those big space engines in the back. So we're going to want big engines back there. All right. There was in the universe of Robotech, there was a Valkyrie or a Veritech called the Logan, and it didn't have a Batroid mode. It only had Gerwalk and flight mode, and this guy reminds me a lot of that Logan. Moving that forward to here. I'm just trying to clear the legs. This hull piece doesn't need to be like that though. Nor does this hull piece. So we can pull this forward like that. And I really like the way the Logan looked. Yeah, we still got piece parts, which just means I'm going to have to pull this guy forward, and I knew that. Just make sure I've got containment of that piece there. You don't want that in the way. But the Logan was this really interesting critter, and this guy looks a lot like it. He reminds me of that Logan. Spacecraft, aircraft, Valkyrie, transformable mecha, whatever you want to call it. Ooh, we missed one. There we go. And that way the legs will be at center point. Oh, except the legs are way back there. We'll need to talk a little bit about these legs and whether they're going to be operable for this or not. So let's take a look. Now, it'll chicken walk, so these legs do go backwards. Whoa, 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 whoa. What'd you do? That's not bad. Actually, it's not going to be bad at all. Yeah, actually, that'll be perfectly reasonable. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that actually looks pretty cool. Even from that back hip. Which means I can keep that back hip joint right where it is. because that's the next piece we've got to go through and fix, is the back hip joint. Because it doesn't need that back hip joint to be multiple movement like it does with the Saber. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be just fine sitting like that. Yeah, actually, it looks really cool. Actually, it looks pretty cool all the way around. But that hip joint's going to have to be fixed. Because that's part of the hull. It's going to be that hip joint. Which is fine. Let's go ahead and rotate this guy out too. Just so that we have both of them out and extended. Yeah, when you look at my comic, you cannot say that I'm not influenced heavily by Macross. Chicken walk stand. All right. There we go. So like I said, that hip doesn't have to be all articulated like it is here for the Saber. So we can just build a pod through the bottom here that just comes out and is part of the mid piece that just holds these legs on either side. And then when they fold up, they'll just fold into the hull, into that main piece there. The Saber was off balance when we did that, so we couldn't have the Saber run that way because of the nature of the fact that that nose with the heavy heavy sensor package on the front made the Saber sit forward so much. This guy doesn't have as much on the front because he's a larger vehicle for one, but I also think that changes the dynamics of this quite a bit. So what we can do is take this guy and move him like so. I feel like this is going to be one of those things where I'm like, I really just need to build more pieces through here. Right? Because this is going to have to be like so. Extrude this out. Might as well just accept it. I'm doing weird stuff to it anyway. We'll go underneath it and put in that piece. And forward. No, after. After. Okay, wait. Why are you still aligned? You shouldn't be aligned. There and there. On the underside, we can't see anything. Meow. Meow. Yes, I know. You're a weird cat. I don't know what your problem is, dude. We can make this that. There we go. Not like that. There. No. No. I'm just saying. George and I have discussions like this every day. What in the world is going on with my phone? an entire discussion going on here. Better check. Make sure before I say anything to these people and say, yes, I am totally free. Hello. You are really weird today. I've gone insane. All right. All right. So all we've done is just open up a section through here for the hip. And I'm probably going to just go ahead and wipe out this guy. Because I'm going to be putting in this section from here, 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 and here, this way, and say extrude down, right? And that gives me the container for that hip joint, right? Which we're going to then put like so. Right now I've got kind of this container going in here for that hip joint. And internally, it looks like a kind of like a weird raise through this section. So I'm going to bring this down. Like so. Oh, wait. Let's see. I want to see. Fox posted something in there. In the art share. Oh, hey, check it. No, that's cold. Where'd you put it? Wait, where'd it go? Am I missing something? Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. I see. I got it. Oh, hey, look at that. Yeah. I like that. I like that design. Sorry, that was me having to become more oriented to Discord, apparently. Oh, yeah. Agreed. It's still really nice. I love it. All right. Knowing that I'm here, probably object mode, take you. What happens if I delete you? That's what I thought. The legs would go wonky. But the legs are wonky, but I can get them back in. So I don't need you either. So if I take you and just connect you directly to the main hull, why do I have an animation for you? Did that delete the leg completely? Yeah. Let's not do that. All right. Upper leg. Control to link to the main hull. Shift to parent. Yeah, I know. Shift to parent. Now, pivot the legs around again. And then we're going to have to move them because they went the wrong way. The problem, of course, is that I'm now guessing as to where they went because, smartly, I completely moved them before thinking about the fact that I'm going to need to move them or parent them in before I delete the subhull. But that's all right. That's all right. Hey, it's not the first time I've messed up my entire world by doing something stupid like this, but that's okay. All right. So we do know that we're going to need to do that because it needs enough room for these legs to move under the hull. There we go. Yeah, capital ships are interesting. My ships don't transform, so my big ships don't. Actually, none of my ships do. It's only the little guys that transform at the moment. And that also is probably a side effect of Macross, because the big capital ships in Macross don't transform unless they're a Macross. And so, generally speaking, they don't transform, but I think that's just a bias that I have because of Macross. All right. You need to be kind of more. So let's bring that under. And then we'll need to bring these guys down quite a bit. I really want to look at the Reclaimer from Star Citizen. Actually, now that you mentioned it, so I just bought myself a throttle quad and a steering yoke. So, I mean, like 2 days ago. And I bought it as I did a good job in school. And so I get to have a thing. So I got this throttle quad and stuff. And so this is kind of what the whole point of it was. I will look at it. I will definitely look at this ship. But the whole point was to get a steering quad so that I can start playing some of these games. Bring that below that line. So this is a control line I'm seeing here. A free fly. That's all in 10 days from now. We could do that. This could happen. Yes, it could. Yes. You may have convinced me. You may have convinced me, Fox. You may have convinced me. I'm going to take this and extrude it. Extrude. There we go. How extrude? All right, I'm going to shrink it down quite a bit. Wow. So that I could see it. For the most part, really, is what we're looking for, is whether I can see it or not. Because we're getting complex down here in the back part of this vessel, but we need the mount for the joist so that the joint can hold in here. So I'm going in and I'm putting in a mount for that hip joint. The thing is that Brent has, on more than one occasion, talked about printing these guys out. And if he does so, I want to make sure that I have the ability for the vehicle to be printed without complexity or problems. So I'm going to go to the underside because this just needs to be pushed all the way to here. What is your problem, weirdo? All right, we'll do that. He's singing me the song of his people. Yeah, you. Singing me the song of your people. Okay, so pushing this back to here. This is the actual mount. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so push this, all of this, inward because that mount needs to be that big. I can move these legs out a little. Just post it in the art thing. Actually, you can put it in the duck pond, I guess. That's where everybody was saying hi. You can put it in the duck pond. But I've got Steam, so I will be able to see it. It's just not right now because, of course, I'm building this, and this guy is complicated for reasons. There we go. There. So now what I've done is I've built sort of the structure. Oh, you don't have access to post it there? You're supposed to be able to post up there. Hang on. Duck pond. Who has access to post here? Mute channel notification settings. Right, that's not what we're looking for. Well, now I'm going to go fix it. So hang on. Edit channel. That's it. So we discuss stuff, not age restricted, hide inactivity after a week. Permissions. Text channels. Okay, this is not a private channel. Everyone can view it. Everybody can create an invite. Oh, yeah, check this out. Can't send messages in here. Now you can create public threads. Okay, we can do that. Create private threads. Embed links, attach files. Well, no wonder nobody's posting in here. Like, this didn't allow you to do anything. This is not a voice channel. Save changes. I'm glad you brought that up, Fox. Thanks. You use external emoji? Oh yeah, we should do that. And reactions and stickers. Mention everybody here. No, I'm not gonna do that. There we go. Excellent. Now you can. Oh hey, look. Does it have audio? All right. Watching the video now. In a long video. Well, it's got legs. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I like it. Question really is, can I control this thing with my controls and thruster quad? Maybe I can. I should bring up Star Citizen and see if it works. Now I gotta go searching for this. Did I already buy it? Is that why I don't see it? Maybe. Who knows? Who knows what's going on? But I'm ignoring a lot. It's not on Steam. That's probably why. Hi, Jupiter. Oh yeah. It's all good. It's all good. Don't worry. I get the gist. Is it out on its own little world? Is that why? Let's see. Oh, because it's out by itself. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we've got. Put it on screen. Huh. Okay. You have my attention, Vox. Gotcha. No, that's fair. That's totally fair. And I appreciate that. I will, in fact, do very much that. How are you doing, Jupiter? Welcome to me working on the leg joint of, anyway, doesn't really matter. I'll extrude this out. Extrude it out again. Extrude it out again. Extrude it out again. You get the idea. And this we will change the size of like this. Just give it just a little bit of interest to make it look like, why do I keep changing that one? Make it look like it's a joint in here. And then we'll come out here like so. And it's going to be a rough joint. It just needs to be enough of a joint that it looks like a joint when we get there. Why is the pivot point on here? What is going on? Oh, well, you selected the wrong thing, didn't you now? Although that is part of that widow's peak, so we don't want to mess with that. All right. We'll go this way. Beep. We'll go straight forward on this and hopefully not snag stuff from behind, which would be weird. So. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm really into a space MMO. So Star Citizen is fitting the bill, especially if I can fly it with my brand new thruster quad and, all of that stuff. That'll definitely be something I'm interested in, since I just got those and really want to use them. And I'm having a hard time getting them to work in No Man's Sky. I'm just saying. I'm not bitter or anything. No, I'm totally bitter. I don't even know why I'm saying that. I'm definitely bitter. I'm super bitter. So anyway, yeah. That's enough to make it look like a joint. Enough that it won't look weird if it's totally translated out. Now, what I'll need to do, I'll be on tonight at 10 p.m. Mountain Time. But it's going to be 10 p.m. Mountain Time to 11 p.m. or maybe midnight, depending on where I am. And that's just because I've got a buddy I help get groceries because their car broke down. And so I take them to get groceries on Tuesday night because they've got a family and you have to feed the family. Weird. I've got a family too. I have to keep feeding my family. It's so strange. Families. All right. Now, that hip joint's going to be fine, I think. Through that center section, it should be okay. And unlike the Saber, it looks like this isn't going to get caught up in this hard point, which is nice. The Saber, yeah, no. I'm here for that. So I will happily, especially when it comes to spaceships, I will talk spaceships forever. I'll even talk star charts, but don't tell Brent that because then he'll get mad at me. No more star charts, says Brent. All right. I want to make sure. I don't like the alignment of this, but you know what? I'll, live. In the meantime, this works to a degree. I still feel like this leg I could probably reinforce these legs a lot better now that. The question really is, do I want to do the whole thing with making the legs, then mirroring them and putting them on the other side? I've been kind of trying to avoid doing that back here with the flaps for the same reason. I'm going to mirror this hull piece at some point, but I kind of like that. I'm just going to say this now. Kind of like the look of this. It's kind of coming out a little bit more like this. It's the top part of the hull. Kind of looks cool. Actually, the only problem is we get weird geometry here, but that can be fixed. Yeah, look at that. Actually, kind of looks nice. And fits into the design ethic like the Kittiwake. To walk around on planets, there's also two primary engines in these legs. So if you need to stop quickly, you can pull the legs out and the legs will go forward and thrust full power so that you can stop. The upper space engines have thrust reversers, which will open, but the lower engines, that way you have 4 engines in a quad going in one direction, but you can turn all 4 engines around and go the other direction. So they are like the reclaimer. They can walk too, albeit it's not like their primary thing, but they can certainly walk. The one that's better at walking is the MPV. The MPV does a much better job of walking, but it's all right. We've got this going. Yep, the reclaimers certainly makes me think that I am not the only one who is very influenced by Macross. So it can use the legs to walk or stop or whatever you need it to do. I'll go ahead and seal this up under here. There we go. Just locking that in. That lower piece is much lower than I want it to be, I think. Question really is, should I bring these front pieces down? Whoa, 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 whoa. What are you doing? Oh, okay, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. That's fine. We'll bring this down like so. And actually probably should bring this one down too. Fork. I mean, honestly, that's what this entire lower structure is for, is to support those legs. So probably should be strong and braced. It's going to have the entire spacecraft hinged right here. So probably engineering wise, it should be a lot stronger and fine. So I think actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the entire structure down a little bit. Because technically speaking, I can bring this entire structure down as far as the bottom of the hull of the spacecraft if I mean to. So, yeah, see, I should have done... Once I level all of these out, they all look like I should have done something completely different. All right. I'm going to delete this face. Delete this face. And instead come from this bottom line here anyway. It should be from this point, I believe. Right? Right. I think so. Yeah. So from this point aft, and that way I don't have to worry about it being messed up and kind of confused in this manner. That's better. That way it's better aligned with it, although I still feel like that's a little janky, but well, we'll get there. We'll get there. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I didn't add another point here, which would have been nice. A point here and here, which would have made this kind of pivot out a little bit more, but I didn't put that in. That's just the way it goes. But that makes some sense because that means that this ball joint is actually supported with an extra strut forward, which would make sense because most of the weight of the spacecraft is up here. And since the weight of the spacecraft is mostly going to be on this, well, it won't be once the engine pods are in, but you have a long run to this front piece. So putting a little bit of an extra strut out forward like that's not going to hurt it at all. That's actually going to make it look a little bit more authentic. And I'll bring that strut down too while we're at it. this strut's a little high. It should be really kind of more like this. And then we'll bring this guy down to match. We can bring him back to make him aerodynamic, but we're going to bring him forward like that. That's probably more what we're looking for. And then this guy needs to come down. Like so. I'm going to probably bring him in just to give him a little bit more of aerodynamics. But for the most part, that's what we should be looking at on the undercarriage there. You can see, like I was saying, it's stronger forward like this than it will be after, which makes some sense. Which means I can pull this back just to kind of illustrate that a little bit more. And that'll give just a little bit more of that forward strut that towards the back here isn't as strong, or isn't going as far back. And that actually kind of looks nice and realistic, like it's engineeringly designed, like somebody actually thought this through, unlike some weird artist who just makes things that look cool. I'm just saying. Never trust the weird artists. They're weird. In theory, though, on this undercarriage, I could probably put a hard point between there for something else so that it could carry a gun cannon or whatever underneath there. You have to be careful putting guns between legs of things because people tend to get 12 all of a sudden. They're all of a sudden 12-year-olds. So I think I'll just leave the hard points to the wings. Otherwise, we'll end up with a bunch of 12-year-olds being 12-year-olds. That said, almost all of the Valkyries have that hard point in between the legs underneath them in Macross. So clearly people just get over it. But I'm not going to get over it because internally I'm 12. So there's that. I would sit there and chuckle at it all the time. So, you know, save my spacecraft the embarrassment. Raise this up. That's accentuating this strut a little bit more. But also giving room up here. We've got to have room for that leg to be able to articulate and swing. So I need to be able to give it enough room that it can actually swing out and down and fold and unfold, if you will. But either way, I think this is looking pretty good. Except for this piece, which now doesn't look so good. That would go like that. Let's do that. That would be better. All right, let's do the mirror on it. Take one last look at it. And see whether I've messed it up by making this kind of wider cheek, which actually it does kind of look like it's messed up a little. I don't know if I'm as happy with that. Yeah, that looks much sleeker. Right there. It's interesting, one little movement, and it looks much better. This forward piece is just going to have to be fixed, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. Yeah, I'm going to have to fix that because it doesn't look right at all. All right. Well, sometimes it doesn't look right, guys. Just the way it goes. Sometimes you just gotta delete it. Sometimes you just got. It's the law of the space. I mean, what? All right. The other thing is they have decided to get all wonky on me. I don't want them to be wonky. What if I don't want them to be wonky? They've gotten all weird. I need to de-weird. I thought I was going to be cool about this, and then they were not cool. They were not cool at all. I'm going to pull this all back like so and extrude. When I extrude forward like this, the next thought process we're going to have is to bring these guys down and rough them in. Because I think this needs to be rolled, is what it needs to be. Which means that I'm going to have to start thinking about how to get all of these guys kind of into the same spot at the same time. I'm going to need to do something kind of like this. Like that. Kind of rolling them into the same spot. And again, we're off axis here. I don't know how we got off axis, but hey, here we are. There we go. So kind of pulling that through. Yeah, that's probably better. Looking forward and that kind of rig, I think that's really what we're looking at. Let's go forward, 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 forward is green. Look at it, not in. So I think what's going to happen here is we're going to have this sort of set up in a way. There we go. Like so. I like that guy just kind of popped up because he thought it was a good idea. And I'm like, well, I don't know if that's as good an idea as you think. So rolling a little bit forward here, I want less of this turn. I kind of feel like all of these guys need to kind of roll over a little. So. Still gives it sort of the gaping fish look. Yikes. But I think I can plan that and flatten it. Actually, you know what I should do is just bring across one line like you and just go extrude this way and make that and then extrude and make that and extrude, make that and extrude and make that. Right now, it has gone interesting on me, but that's okay. Maybe that's what we're looking for. So let's go on ahead and just patch that in and see what we get. We get these three right here. We'll put in a face. And I'll just keep going with this one like this. Put in a face. No, that's not what I wanted. This direction, which, though slightly confusing, is kind of what we're looking for here. I'm going to put in that face here, and I think that's what I'm looking for, because I think that that's going to stick out forward like that. And really what we're looking for here is these two and these two. I'm going to make a face like that. But think what I'm after. We'll see. Let's put in the rest of these and see what kind of miracles occur. All right, let's see if that works. It's not bad. But I know that these two and these two will be a face, right? And then these four will be a face. And that's going to make it kind of difficult when we get underneath here, because now we've got these two. I'm going to be careful not to grab the back. There. This and this make a face. And then these three make a face. All right. Now let's straighten it all up because it looks funny. Looks like, somebody got really drunk when they designed this piece of the spacecraft. We were very drunk when we made this part of the ship. We're very sorry. We were trying not to be drunk, but we were drunk. So now the ship is funny looking. We apologize for our indiscretion and promise that in the future we will build ships not drunk. There we go. Okay. Now, I feel like this guy can roll to the side here just a little bit to kind of finish that feel. And then this guy can push in too. And this is why I was saying I think I'm going to regret my life choices. So, we're going to take this guy and move him down and move him across. Like so. Yep. We were definitely drunk when we made the ship. We're very sorry. Like, whoa. See, this is not aligning that way. That should align that way. There we go. We'll push him in. There. That looks a little bit better. At least that nose piece looks fine. Right, looking at this side, that nose piece looks more rounded, like it does in the actual book. So we're going to have to remember the cockpit comes along that frontal piece, and it's going to roll forward. So the cockpit's going to have this pivot, and so it'll pull forward like that, so you can get in. I also need to remember to put enough hull underneath there to put a landing gear. Although I think the landing gear on this guy might be after quite a bit. So the landing gear might actually sit here in the box, which might be kind of weird, but would make some sense. We'll have to see, because here's the gear. At the moment, that's where our gear is, anyway. We'll see. All right. Yeah, I think this will be fine. And I feel like the width of it feels correct for this vessel. So I think we can very quickly here, we'll be able to go on ahead and actually set this to the correct width. But before we do, yeah, that looks good. And this is why I was saying you can adjust its clipping. There we go. So that it only makes one point back here instead of making a bunch of points. So when we get there, we'll do that. Okay, now it's time to go up there on those big space engines. Time for the space engines. So the space engines are going to have to be back here. How do they look? They just look like cones up to the point where they've got the thrust reversers. So we'll put cones in first. And if you add a new mesh here with this, at this point, like this, you end up with it in with the pieces. So We'll move it up. We'll rotate it. We're looking for up in the upper left-hand corner there. It's talking about its rotational. If we hit shift, it slows down the speed of the turn. We're going directly 90 degrees. So I'm going to build the, you know what I should do is not do that. I shouldn't do it this way. Let's not do it this way. We're going to actually go back into object mode. When you're in object mode and we build a new object, it's actually going to be a separate piece. So I'm going to go on ahead and hit a mesh, and I'm going to do the same thing. And it looks like I did exactly the same thing I just did, except that I'm not. So I'm pulling it forward, spinning it around at 90 degrees, because this is the space engine that needs to be going at least down the axis of the spacecraft. All right. Now, from the front, I'm going to position this and then decide how big this engine's ultimately going to be before I mess with it. So let's scale it up, because these engines are huge, right? This is the biggest piece of these engines. Like so. And that looks kind of right. The thing that really sucks about this is I designed by complete fluke, deleted the side that we see in the comic book. It wasn't my intention, but that's what happened. It was a just complete fluke of not thinking it through. All right, so once we take this engine, we started the engine piece. Now we're going to go into edit mode, but we're only editing the engine now at this point. So front part should be relatively easy. Take this, we extrude, go forward, and scale. We want it to be somewhat gentle, so we'll extrude again. We're not worried about having to save the or we don't want to have to worry about like having a small amount of oh, come on, triangle count. We don't need to worry about our triangle count. This isn't a game, so I have the time to render it, and if it takes 30 seconds to render, that's still fine. If it was a game, I'd have to worry a little bit more about my triangle count, and I'd probably be a little bit more judicious about how many triangles I'm adding in here. But since we're not doing a game, and since I don't have to worry about that at all, I'm just going to go on ahead and screw it up really badly. Remember to go into naked mode. There we go. Do that. And then do that. And do maybe that. I don't know. Kind of feeling like this needs to be a little bit bulkier, like that. Right, and this guy needs to be a little bit bulkier, more like that. So I'm not working on my triangle count. Don't need to worry about it. Oh, hey, check it. I've already accidentally done the right thing. Accidentally. The problem is that's not what I was going to do with this. I was going to do a Boolean. So this is an error that occurs sometimes with extrude. And it's not an error, it's I screwed it up. There. That was me screwing this up. We'll start over again. All right, pull the extrude. Extrude, and that's all right, because I kind of think I want to do a little more. Right. The last one. Right, now this guy's going to be all the way down And this one's going to be sort of really tight. And this one's going to be pull this back like so, and we'll go back out to scale, kind of bring it up more like that. Then, so every time I'm doing this, I'm going, we can go a little smaller, and if so, I'm going to bring this guy back up to kind of get in between, and then I'll take all of these guys and go a little smaller, and then I can bring this guy up, and bring him in between. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just kind of going through, and this is giving this a very rounded ability. Like, it's rounding it really nicely. It's not rounding it now because, it's the way it goes. But every time we do this, we can get it just a little bit smaller. And then I can then go through and do the adjustments on this and bring it up like so. And I'm just eyeballing it at this point, but we're looking for rounding this in like so. There we go. And because of the nature of things, I can extend this a little bit more if I need to. Like so. Kind of pull this out a little bit more. And then these guys we can bring down. I think if I ever write an autobiography, I'm going to be like, you have to be careful in naked mode. It's going to be the name of my autobiography. The number of times I've borked this thing because I wasn't in naked mode. So when you're in this skin mode where you can see the skin of the object, when you select something that you see, it only selects the front part, the part that's facing you. So if you're like, haha, I shall do this, it didn't select the other side like that. And so you have to go into this transparent mode, or I call it naked mode because it's funny. And then you can select, and that'll select all of it because it selects through the mesh. But I didn't discover that till later, and there's that. And so it is what it is. All right, going out here, these guys kind of look like they've got a curve to them as well. So we're going to go into the front of it. And they don't need to be rounded like this. We're going to actually kind of flatten it. So once again, back into naked mode. And we're going to, in this instance, flatten it more like this, which is the reason why we haven't actually deleted the other half of it, because then you take this and you rotate it like this, and now it's on the axis of the spacecraft, right? So we look through the middle here. The middle is like that. And we want to make that just so that it's along the axis of the spacecraft. There we go. And that gives us that sort of rounded effect, right? However, I just did that and then thought about it and went, should I do that after I've done the back part of the engine? Maybe I should do that after I've done the back part of the engine. Okay. The only reason I'm stopping here is I'm thinking it through. The next section is going to be covered by a thrust reverser. If that's the case, we want to kind of build it like the inside of an engine. So we're going to have the outside of the engine to this back shell, and then it'll get much smaller, and then we're going to have the inside of the engine, which will then be covered by the thrust reversers. The real question is, do I want to bring the thrust reversers out like an airplane's thrust reverser, which is just taking the cowling and sliding the cowling back, that wouldn't be dramatic. I think the best thrust reversers would be ones that close like the 737s. The original 737s, General Electric engines, which have the two cowling pieces that snap open like this. Because with them snapping open, you would see in the comic book that it's... And we have a scene where these spacecraft say, "Oh no, bug out," and they pull the stop, the emergency stop, and we see them coming to a stop at the camera with all of the thrusters on forward to stop the vessel and pivot it around. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have those thrust reversers be square or squarish, probably hexagon, sitting on the back of the engine pod. So that's where I'm going to go with this. So thinking that through, we're going to take the back of this engine and we're going to kind of starburst it in a way. We're going to extend it out. And this is the shrink down to the point where it's going to be shrunk down. So it's not going to have, this part's going to be shrinking down on the vessel, on the engine pod. So now what we're going to do is try to catch. This is going to be kind of tough because it's going to be, we need the top pieces to be in it. And then like, it's going to be every fourth one, I think is what we're going to do. So looking through the back of the engine pod, we're going to go every fourth one, maybe. So midline here is this. So we go 1, 2, and do 1. Okay, let's talk midline. Where's the midline on this? I'm going to have to pop out the midline just so I can see it. So midline is this guy right here. I'll pop him out just to alert me where midline is. I'll put them back in later. That put opposite is you. If we go straight across from that 90 degrees out, that's you. And we're going to go across the structure to here. That's you, hopefully. We'll see. All right. Now all we've done is just make some points that we can see them. You see the pivot points there for the midlines, right? That's these right through here. Cool. Sometimes for illustration purposes, I will make things bigger so that I can see them. Because this way, I can make this from the front. I can see it. See how clear it is? That's that outer ring. Now, midline 1, well, midline 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8. So if we do 2 on either side, it's going to be these 3. Right, midline 1, 2, midline 1, 2. Let's do 4. Okay, so midline 1, 2. So everything up to the midline. There we go. There's the midline. Everything here, and you to that midline. Everything here, and you. And now what we'll do is this. We'll bring that down like so. Back into the engine cowling. Probably even smaller than the engine cowling at this point. And what we've done now is we have mounts on all 4 sides of that engine, which is only going to be 3 sides we're going to see, but I'm going to go ahead and do the 4th just in case we ever get inside or see inside part of this engine, right? So now from the outside, if you look at it this way, it looks like this. I'm going to shrink all of this down, and we're going to end up with these as sort of runners. Right? Is that rain? Oh, we got rain. Check us. We're raining. The sun's kind of sun-ish. And a freeze watch is issued. What is going on? Ray would be loving this weather. Ray, you'd love this weather if you're still with me. There's totally Ray weather. It's raining. We've got a freeze warning. I have no earthly idea what's going on. All right. Now I'm going to bring all of this back down because this is really what we're after. Here's this. And then we're going to extrude it again. When we extrude it, we're going to pull this back like so to here. And now what we've got is we've got runners that'll hold the thrust reversers so that these thrust reversers can pop out on these runners and essentially expose this part of the engine, which will then thrust out into the thrust reverser, which will bounce it forward. And I'll mount the thrust reversers on this point, and this point, and have it just pivot through that point right there. That actually kind of looks pretty badass. Like, looks cool. I'm okay with it. Since the script specifically calls for it to have a thrust reverse mode of some sort, I'm going to go on ahead and do that and make sure it's got it. I come back up from those thrust reversers to the end cowling right here. And again, to bring it back up from that thrust reverser, I'm going to expand it back out, not pivot it. What is my problem? All right, I'm going to bring it back out so that it's super large so that it's easy to see. Because we're going to bring everything back in again from that outer pivot. So like U3, 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 and U3. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bring it back in. There we go. That way, that thrust reverser section is only there for that little bit. Then we go back to being a normal engine back here. Extend out here to be the primary thrust cone. And then extrude. There. Extrude for the inside. There you go. And that is the engine with its pods for thrust reversers. Now, observing that probably I don't need to worry about this internal coil right here for this thrust reverser. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm probably going to push this part and that part back out and just have the thrust reversers here, pivoting on this point and that point, and then just opening up this section. Maybe I don't want two either. Maybe I just want one. This is where I'm paused for a minute going, well, what do I want to do here? And do I really want to kind of do that? We need to also bring that front piece of this engine in. So we'll do that next. this guy. Didn't go into naked mode, and that's your big mistake. All right, there we go. All right. And probably our last ring we're going to have to deal with here. Put this guy right about here. Ish. One more ring won't hurt us, he says. Not realizing how much one ring does, in fact, hurt. Look at the Lord of the Rings. One ring didn't do them any good. Unless you're a hobbit. Yes, you're a hobbit. One ring doesn't do you any good. Just saying. All right. And maybe we'll go one more in. This guy probably needs to move just a little bit. Kind of ease the stress on the. So a lot of times you'll hear me say ease the stress on the mesh, right? But if you look up here on the top of this mesh, it goes inward before going downward. And so I think I'm going to have to go one more ring over just to ease this stress right here on this line. This line probably not as big of a deal, but the next line in, this guy, definitely going to need some help. So I'm going ahead and do this. And just bring him over until that stress is off. And it's not a whole lot I'm moving it over, just enough to bring that stress off. And that gives us this effect. So if you look at it in object mode, that engine pod just sits right nicely on the side like that. Right? I feel like those engines might still be bigger. No, it's about right. Right, kind of. We're working the problem here. They do seem blunter. Much blunter on the front. So, let's go ahead and fix that. They're not as abrupt. They're not pointed. This is not supposed to be a high. I mean, it's not supposed to be a warcraft. Especially in this instance, these are SAR ships, so they're search and rescue. So even then, we're still kind of doing the. You guys kind of search and rescue. Yeah, see, that's much better, I think. Now to bring this into the fold, folks. This is how we're gonna bring it into the fold. First things first, I think we're gonna have to take the thrust reverser pieces out of here and pull them back out, because we don't have thrust reversers back here. We only have these out. Well, I don't know, guys. What do you think? I mean, should we have? That'd be a weird thrust reverser. It'd be a strange hull piece, and it would deflect engine thrust back onto the hull, which I think that would probably be a relatively bad day. People won't like that one. I think that's unpleasant. So they have to keep getting the scorches off the hull for this thing. Why did they design these thrust reversers like this? We're constantly having to fix this hull over and over and over. Idiot designers and their weird thrust reverser plan. All right. Yeah, probably not these guys either. Only problem I've got is without the other side, we may have problems. I have to see. May have enough points to be able to do it. Let's see. Let's find out, shall we? What's the worst that can happen? It won't work. Hey, it doesn't look like the back got straightened out correctly. That's okay. Interesting. The reason we're getting this effect, by the way, is because it's balanced not for what it's supposed to be doing here. All right. It'll be a strange formation on the engine pod, but that's all right. Actually, kind of looks cool that way. Not gonna lie, a little bit of extension out here kind of makes it look like it's got some kind of engine piece that it's adhering to, kind of giving it a little bit of a bulk into the. So I'll keep that because that, like I said, right back here is going to have to be that mount. That mount is going to have to put some piece of this into that spot. Wow, look at what we did down here. All the trouble we've caused inside the engine pod. Always a plus. Yeah, that's out of whack. That's right, we'll get it. It does mean, though, I like a lot of this, but then I'm kind of like, I don't know if I like this piece down here. I don't think I did it in service by doing that. I like this. And what I will do is bring that back. Bring it back down. Return it to its original size. Take a look at it here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these separately. So instead of doing this bottom piece here, I'm just going to take that one completely out of the equation. And then from here, talk about it just coming out like this, right? Because that looked cool. I'm willing to go with that. And with this, it extends out and around. Maybe I'll bring it up some so it's bigger. And I could bring this down almost like so. There we go. Look at that. And no, that looks weird. Keep it in line with that. That'll work. Yeah, that works. Then we'll go back in here. We can then take the next pieces of it, which are these guys-ish, maybe? Yeah, maybe. We'll extend those out too. That way it connects in with the hull of the ship nicely. And from the back, we'll be all connected into. Right? So that's what's going to happen here. Although I feel like I probably didn't do that, right? Let's take these guys and move them forward. Just like so. And move it back a little. There. Because actually this guy needs to still be in on the line of that engine cone. Otherwise we mess up the engine cone. We don't want to mess up the engine cone. There. I like it. That gives me much more structure back there from that point of view. That engine's going to have a thrust reverser casing on it that's larger. And I don't think I added tail fins to those. No, there's no tail fins out there. Which is good because I don't know how you get the S-wax on top of it, the ear wax on top of it. That's what we're going to call it. I call it the ear wax. All right. All right, guys, I'm pretty happy with where we've gotten to this point now. Next part of this is kind of complicated because we've got to merge these two objects together and somehow do it in a way that makes it work. So I'm just like figure out how to make that work. I've got to mirror it so that it's watertight so that I can make the Boolean. You know what I need to do? I just need to seal up the hull. Just seal it up. Once it's sealed, then I can do a Boolean on it and do Boolean activities, which we're going to need to do anyway because we need to get a couple of other pieces on here. Like we're really going to need to figure out how to deal with cockpit pieces and stuff like that. So before we mirror it, I want to make sure all of those pieces are in to the hull and make sure nothing's weird. Like I want to make sure it looks right. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to seal the hull. Go back into object mode, go into this, go back to edit mode. And this is what we call sealing the hull. Let's seal this hull up. You can't do a Boolean operation on an object that is not sealed. It's not watertight. So what we're going to do, we're going to take and make this particular guy watertight temporarily. We're going to put a face in here like that. I don't need to worry about triangles in this one because we're just locking the thing down. So 4s is fine. This will allow me to Boolean into this hull, which is something we're going to need to do here in a second. Boolean is to cut out a piece of the hull. So in the case of this, we need to divot out the engine mode into the hull piece. But in order to do that, we're going to have to do this in a smart way, which, may or may not be what we're doing right now. We'll have to see. Oof, that got ugly. Should have probably grabbed that one too. And this guy, and make a face. We're making faces. He made faces at me. So I'll take this guy out of the loop, this guy out of the loop, and this guy, and this guy, right? There aren't any joints in between that, right? Right, okay. Making sure. Add a face. Take these two out of the loop. Add this guy and this guy. Maybe? Add a face. That became ugly. And then add a face. This is now what we call a watertight object. So the object is now sealed up, hopefully. So when I punch through it with a Boolean, it's going to just add this to its structure, which is what we need, because we were going to have to come through here and put this into this. So provided I did everything correct, and just in case we blow it up, now is the time to save. Here's what we're going to do. Go into object mode, and we say, add modifier U out. See you in 2.5 hours. Take an onion, and we select the object, and this is the object we onioned. Right? You see whether that worked. We take the actual object itself, and we pull it away, and what we should have is 1 unit. Yep. Looks like it worked. That's how you do a Boolean on this. So now this is all one object right here, which worked. And we still have the engine out here as a spare in case we ever need it, but we don't. We're not going to need it. So I'm going to delete it, because now this is one object that we can work on in edit mode, and it's all together as one thing. The next thing we're going to want to do, though, is do things like the landing gear pods. So I'm going to take this landing gear and we're going to roll it forward, because the landing gear is not, in fact, lined up anymore. That's nice. Object mode, take you. Edit mode. No, object mode. Object mode. I'm going to line you back up. Center line to the spacecraft. We're going to have to figure out where this wheel goes, because right now he's not lined up to anything, just because, that's a thing. So think here is where this landing gear is going to be, because it needs to have enough room, obviously, for crew to be able to not, in fact, kill themselves. So originally, this had an angle to it, and the angle to the back of that lock location had this angle on it. On this spacecraft, this doesn't have that angle, so I'm going to bring it down enough that we've got enough room for the door. I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to flip this angle right here. This guy does not need to be like this. Ooh, we need to be in naked mode though, because otherwise it's not grabbing the other side of this. Oh god. Okay. And then from here I can pivot it until it's in alignment with the actual spacecraft. And then roll it forward like so, and we can kind of do that, maybe? Yeah, that. And we'll do that, and then this, and now, still need to go a little closer. It's a really close fit. Much closer fit than I thought it would be. The thing about this is, we could probably do this without that secondary door. The Saber has a secondary door. It needs to open back here to open for the landing gear to come down, and I don't think we need that for this guy. Now, take this guy here and raise him up so we're aligned with the hull, so that you're aligned with the hull as well. And it will pull you all the way back and put you in alignment with the hull as well. Now, Booleans don't like to get tangled up in corners, so I'm going to pull it away from the corner a little bit so that we get a cliff in here, a little bit of a box, so to speak. And I'm going to pull this all the way to here. Just make this one big door right there. And because of the nature of things, it's no longer going that direction, it's going this direction. And I'll pull this forward too. There. When a door opens, you want it to be slightly beveled so that as it opens, it slides this way. And I'm going to actually test this to make sure this is okay by going back into object mode. Its pivot is set to the center of that already. So we're going to look to see what happens. And that's actually not going to be, this is not going to work, right? Because this is where we want to be. That just put this entire piece inside the hull of the spacecraft. We're going to need another door. That's okay. We're fine with that. That'll be okay. So we'll go back into edit mode, grab these guys, and instead of nope, grab these guys and slide it all the way down, because this is about the maximum we're going to be able to get. When the wheel is extended, that's all we're going to get out of it. All right, that should be on the pivot joint, right? That forward landing gear coming down on that pivot joint. That's what we want. Right on that joist. Piece. So we're at a frame. They're not called joists on spacecraft or boats. They're called frames. So we're on a frame. Let's get into the correct terminology. Right? And here's what it's going to look like with that gear down. And that'll be fine. I even kind of like the way it looks with that gear down. It does kind of look neat. The gear is going to be far back behind it. And since the front cockpit's going to be here, steering on this thing is going to be wild on a flight on the tarmac, because you'll turn the wheel and the entire front of the vehicle is going to pivot like a bus. It's going to be so strange because you're sitting forward of the forward steering wheel. So still feels like it's angled weird. Oh, I think it's feeling angled weird because it's trying to connect to this door. There's already a door built, so I don't have to worry about it. I was just hoping I could get rid of the door. But alas, we are where we are. So, okay, go back to the object mode. We'll pivot it back into the hull. Ooh, yeah, maybe we should do this and take a look at it first. And move it forward so that it can enter into that door zone without, it's got to clear that door, that opening for the door. So we're going to be here. That's fine. Like I said, if Brent ever makes actual physical models of these guys, he's going to want them to be accurate and do their things, but it also makes it feel better if it actually does what it's supposed to do, you know? And frankly, I can make little animations with these ships, which I kind of want to do anyway. Okay, so here's where that door opening is going to be. We need to pull that door opening back down a little. That's okay. Edit mode, pull this back down. Wow, go into naked. Why are you not here? Why are we not in the naked mode? What is problem? Okay, go through here, pull this back to here. That door closes on that. And that means that this door actually will go the other direction now, because we'll need it to go this way. And the only reason it goes this way is now there will be a second door that goes here. That second door is down here. Object mode, take you, bring you up. So here's that second door. This door is not aligned properly. I'm just saying it's not aligned properly. All right. This door is going to be pivoted because the bottom of the hull is bent. And so we're going to have to pivot the door a little bit, which is fine. But it needs to be able to come out from here and open clearly. Like that. There we go. This door doesn't seem to be turned the right way. Doesn't seem to be correctly aligned. I'm just saying, we probably shouldn't have pivoted it that way until we were ready to do this. Whoa, 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 whoa. First things first, let's align it. What? Why are you not pivoting? You are pivoting. It is not pivoting the way I want you to pivot. That's weird. Why can't I get all of these? Did I lock the gears, ratios, or turns? Nope. Don't ever do that again. That didn't help you any. Okay. We didn't zero them out. Oh, this is getting old. I'm just gonna put it into edit mode, not you. Put it in object mode, then select you, and then put it in edit mode. That'll work. There. All right. Take this guy, and I'm gonna line him up with this here. Take this guy, and I'm gonna line him up with that there. And then this guy's outer. I'm going to line him up here. Also outer. I'll line him up here. And then once we get closer in here, we can kind of see where the structure is on this. For reasons, I don't know what its problem is, but it's not going to play well with me. I think I might have tried to get smart before. Every time I try to get smart, something goes weird. So, that's a lesson. It's definitely a lesson. Don't get smart. That is our lesson for today. You, then I'll move both of you up so that you fit into the hull there. And then we'll put you up so that you fit into the hull. Then I can move you down Move you down to, there we go. Move you back. There. Now do that forward piece. Now, if you're not going to animate these, you don't need to go through this much of a pain in the butt process with this, but I like to animate them. So it's a thing. I'm kind of, wait a minute. All right, just go ahead and move you straight down. What the heck? Oh, always a plus to know these things don't do it. But that's all right. Now these will divot a little bit. I kind of want them to divot a little. Not only do we want them to divot back here so that they match well with those, but we want them to divot up front so it'll match well with the rest of these. Now the other thing I'm going to have to do is it's off of its axis. Here's its axis. It's off of its axis slightly. And I don't want it to actually stay off its axis. I want it to line up with its axis correctly so that it'll open correctly. Otherwise it doesn't open right. So I'm lining up the mesh with it before I switch back to object mode. Once I switch back to object mode, I can take the object and move it correctly into its right position. Just like this. Right? What's really going to happen is we're going to play this game. Go back into edit mode and take all of these guys and go all the way back to here. You might be asking yourself, why, Guy, would you go through all of this trouble? I, too, am asking myself this very same question. And here I am. But spacecraft and things, these are important parts of Bellatrix Rising, so it's important that they follow all internal rules. Very critical. It's not considered a waste of time or energy if what I'm doing is doing that. There we go. The reason I'm doing that is because there's going to be a pivot here. Extrude, pull that out, and then this guy will go all the way across the other side. So what's really going to happen is I'm going to take now this object mode. I'm going to put it up into the hull correctly, like this, and put it into edit mode. Bring this up, like so. Bring this part down like that. Bring this part all the way down to the pivot point, and then bring this side down like so. That way, when this door opens, it's going to actually open now, like this. There. Which will look like that, thus opening the way for the landing gear to come down. Right? So we'll bring that open a little bit more to hyperextend it, and then we switch to the nose gear strut, And the nose gear then rolls down like so to park horizontal flat. And there's the gear pieces. Cool. Not a problem. We've now extended the forward landing gear correctly-ish, except that it's not really, because I'm looking at it and like this is the pivot center. And guess who's not actually on the midline of the spacecraft? You guessed it. That's all right. Should still be no issue. Should. There. So you can actually see back here, by the way, these are rear landing gear. When the legs are folded up, they fold sideways and flat, and then the landing gear can drop. So it can cycle its gear. All right. Now again, from this side, we get our landing gear wheel, the forward. This will also have a number on it so that you can identify the spacecraft when it's sitting in storage. Because of course it's going to sit on its landing gear and just hang and be and exist. Right. So I don't mind the fact that those legs are the same legs as they are on the Saber. Okay, last piece, and then we can start working on cockpit pieces. But I'm going to go ahead and go to lunch here in a minute. So, but for right now, let's go ahead and just roll the wheels up. Put the wheels back up where they need to be. And actually, what I will do is I will push this to this fullest extension, because what I want to know is, where is this box going to be? So we're going to add a new box at this point in time. In here, we're going to add a mesh, a cube, and we're going to take this cube, and this is going to be our new landing gear box. So we're going to open up the bottom of the hull of the spacecraft to fit this. But first, we're going to go into edit mode and take the back part of it. I'm going to push it all the way back here and take this part, push it all the way to right there. That way I know that the landing gear will pass through that section just fine. And this door doesn't need, it only needs to open enough to expose the landing bay. I mean, this is a matter of efficiency. You don't really need it to be open that much in here, just saying. All right. Now that I've decided where that is and where that's going to be, this back part is going to have to be at a 90-degree angle. There's nothing I can do about that, but I can go into object mode now, and I can go back to this guy and raise him all the way up until the door closes. Clunk right there. Right, that's going to be our door. And now I know that I need to take this box and extend it even further up. Edit mode, right? It's going to have to be like all the way back here. And I'm actually going to pivot him in and line him up with that landing gear door. So it's got kind of an angle to it and a little bit of a bite. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of do this. It'll be fine. There we go. And this just needs to go right here to exactly the point of which this landing gear comes out. Again, this has to be a 90-degree angle. I don't know what I keep thinking. It's not going to fit like you want it to. It's going to swing. I keep thinking it's going to fit, and then it never does, because, All right. This should be forward enough. Really, honestly, I feel like this door just doesn't. I can actually probably kind of do something more like, and maybe I should. Maybe I should do something more like this, and then take this and hit extrude and do that. And then that way it's not a problem. And then I don't have to worry about it getting in its own way. And then I can do this and then pivot this back to its 90 degrees. Because this really needs to kind of be 90 degrees. But then this kind of needs to also kind of be like that. You know? The door opens or the gear falls forward quite a ways. So we probably could actually look at and see what we do here. And take the object, 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 object. Find the object. Where is the object? Then we lower it down until the wheel is at 90 degrees and straight. There. Then we go back into this box and make sure that no matter what, the pivot point on this clears the landing gear wheel. It doesn't have to do a whole lot past the landing gear wheel. It really doesn't. So that's fine. All right. So this is going to be the basic shape that we're going to cut out of the hull of the spacecraft. We're going to also have to do the forward piece, but for right now, we're going to go to object mode. And we're going to take him and move him this way because we're going to have to go through here and now do this side. This side of it's actually going to have to be kind of cut weird because we've got to get a door in there. We got to get the door hinge, right? So we don't have to worry necessarily about it on the width side. It only has to be slightly smaller than the hinge, and that will definitely hold everything in. However, we should probably bring it in until the door aligns with it. Makes some sense. So we'll probably bring it into the door width. All of the landing gear pieces fit inside this door width, so that's not a real issue. What we do need to do, though, is extrude, extrude. In this instance, what we're doing is we're adding, this is going to be now the inside of the unit door thing, whatever widget, doesn't really matter. And we're going to shape it like this door hinge that we need here. And then we're going to shape this door to fit properly. So this is going to have to go like so. We can go down like this. It really doesn't need, like, we don't have to have that door hinge here. We can have it here, though. I'm going to pull these all the way down. And I'm going to go this way and this way. Work, work. So. And this way. And this way. So what we've essentially done is we're shrinking down the internal area of this to this. That way I can pull out this section just a little to the right, like so. This allows me to put that door hinge in without, messing with the design, so to speak. Right? So we're opening up the box in here, and it's going to make a duplicate of this on the other side. So I don't want to make a duplicate of the other side, so I'm not going to actually do this Boolean until I've mirrored. For that reason, we'll just leave this up here as something we will get around to at some point. But that's what this box is for, is it'll ultimately cut the landing gear hole but we don't need to worry about the rest of the landing gear hole yet, and we only needed to have a door on one side. Since it's asymmetrical, I'm going to wait until after I've assembled the entire spacecraft and duplicated to the other side before I actually try to cut those wings in. Or before I cut those wings in, what am I thinking? I'm thinking I'm hungry and need food. So it's been 12:30. I've rolled 3 hours on this. It's not a bad job. I'm enjoying it quite a bit, but I'm also kind of getting hungry and getting spacey. So I'm gonna park ourselves out and going ahead and head on out, guys. I really appreciate all of you people who joined me today. And the people who joined me today, of course, got a couple of new friends. I see that we have Fox and some user, of course, and Ray. We're here in Brent, but we also had, going back through it, looking down here, I also had Elastic, which I called Elastic, but probably really Elsa. But that's okay. They put up with me being strange, so there's a thing. So it's all good. Appreciate you guys putting up with me. I think that's pretty much what we had today. And I also got Jupiter for one post, said hello, but didn't actually say anything else. Don't know if they're lurking or not. You can certainly lurk. But that's all I'm going to do for this show at the moment. I'm going to go on ahead and roll into lunch and see what I got for lunch and do that thing, and it'll be awesome. In the meantime, I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and keep your eyes on the stars. Bye-bye.